Hello everybody, I am back with another tutorial. This is going to be using this gorgeous Ankara head wrap. I think it's in the style Sudan. Yeah, Sudan. And it's from All Things Her Crown. And I'm using 3 Tuff 2-in-1s from Wrapunzel in colors that pull out the colors from Sudan. So I'm using my yellow one first. This is more like a mustard color. I believe it's called mustard or dark yellow. I'm sorry, it's dark yellow on the Wrapunzel website. And I'm going to fold this one completely in half. I want one of my tails drastically shorter than the other. So you can see that one's much longer than the other. And then I'm going to do something in this tutorial that you guys rarely ever see me do. I am going to actually tie a knot in the back of my head. It's something that I rarely do, but I did it here because we're using so many scarves, and I need to make sure that as I'm moving things around that everything stays perfectly in place. I don't need anything to slip. And if I just crisscross behind my head, I run the risk of things sliding and they wouldn't turn out as crisp as I need them to. So I've got my short end on one end, my long end on the other, and we're going to grab our green Tuff 2-in-1, also from Wrapunzel. I'm not going to fold this one all the way down, just somewhat. So we still have the length. We're just folding the width of it down just a bit. And I want my short end to be on the same end. So I'm going to bring my gold tails up as I crisscross behind my head, and I'm going to knot this one as well. And I straighten up as I go along. And I strongly suggest that you guys do this as well, because it just makes it so much easier whenever your wrap is all the way finished. You don't have to go back and straighten things out nearly as much as you would if you just kind of straighten things out as you go. So realizing now that my tails were, my short tail wasn't quite as short as I wanted it to be. So I'm bringing that length over, and I'm going to tie my knot or crisscross behind my head again, and then tie my knot. And you just want your tails to be, your short tails to line up, and you want your long tails to line up as evenly as possible. And it's really important with the long tails because we're going to use that to make a braid. So it's really important that you have those tails. They're not going to be perfect, it's okay, but you want them to be as evenly as possible. And there I go, straightening up. And there are short tails right there. We've got our long tails on the other side. And now we're adding in this beautiful dark red Tuff 2-in-1, also from Wrapunzel. And I'm going to go ahead, and I think that I folded this one all the way down the same way that I did the yellow one, completely in half. And it just made it more manageable for me at this point, since I had 3 scarves, and it just made things easier. Don't worry if your shaper in the back is still showing. My shaper is also from Wrapunzel, and it's the Windy shaper. If it's still showing in the back, that is perfectly okay, because our Ankara fabric is going to cover everything in the back. It's going to cover a multitude of sins. So just bear with me while I tie this one in a knot as well. I don't tie tight at all. It's just a simple loop in the back. And that's it. So now I've got all 3 of my tails. If you aren't familiar with how to braid, you want the middle color to go to one end. And then your next middle color is going to go to the opposite end. The next middle color is going to go to the first end. And you're just going to keep repeating this as you go all the way down. Just alternating which end you're bringing your middle color to. And you go all the way down. And that is how you braid. So we're going to keep braiding. These Tuff 2-in-1s aren't very long, so it doesn't take too much of your time. But when we get to the end, I'm going to show you how I knot it to make sure that my braid remains secure. So I'm going to take whichever color that I had, which was the longest, which is my red color. And the last place where my red braids left off, that's where I'm going to push my finger through. And I'm just going to reach my finger through there and pull the remaining of the red fabric through that loop. And it's going to create a knot, and your braid isn't going anywhere. So that was part 1. A very, very long part 1, but it wasn't, it's not tedious at all. It's really, really simple. You guys can do it. I believe in you. So now we're just going to take our Ankara fabric. Like I said, this is in the style Sudan, and it's from All Things Her Crown. And we're going to fold it in just a bit, just enough to where it gives me kind of like a tidy edge. So it's not too much. You can see right there how far I folded it down. Not much. I still have a good bit of the width left. And we're just going to put this right here on the top of our head. And I'm going to make sure that for this head wrap that I want my tails as evenly as possible. And I'm going to start tying this. I will not tie this in a knot. I just crisscrossed behind my head. I made sure that my fringes and my tails were still out. I didn't want anything to get caught up in my head wrap. So there we go, pulling that around. I'm going to straighten out the top because I usually have a little, I don't know why it does that to me. I don't know if it's the shape of my head, but I usually have like a little tint. But I just fix it. And then we're going to bring both of those Ankara fabric tails up and around our heads, and we're just going to tuck it in. Like so. And we're just going to tuck. Ooh, okay, that took a lot. So now I'm bringing my braid around to the front of my head. I'm pulling it so that it can go all the way around my head, kind of like a crown. And I'm just going to tuck it into the tails of the Ankara fabric. So I bring out my Sudan scarf, my Sudan head wrap. I'm just going to tuck those fringes in. I have some fringes still out, but the majority of them are tucked in, and because we used a braid, everything is tucked together, so you don't have to worry about anything flying out. And this is the wrap. This is it. This is what it looks like in the back. Everything is tucked under. My shaper isn't showing. And this is the look. Thank y'all so much for watching. Bye-bye.